It seems as though some legislative bombs are dropping around this space, and it does pertain back to Ripple, XRP, and even Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. If we take a little bit of a step back and go back in time, in a recent video, I did make this connection as well. This goes back to July of 2023. CFTC Commissioner sees Ripple court decision as a path to U.S. regulatory clarity, basically being bullish on Ripple and even XRP, and the decision around XRP being not a security back in July of 2023. Now, we also know that Caroline D. Pam, who is the commissioner in this case, also met with Brad Garlinghouse back in September of 2022 in the Ripple Labs office headquarters, and it's comical because we know that they have been on multiple discussions and also major forum discussions as well regarding crypto regulatory frameworks and regulations. Now, building on top of this, we also know that Christopher Giancarlo, back in 2020 was very bullish on the fact that XRP isn't a security. And even more recently, he did congratulate Ripple on having XRP cleared in the court of law back in July of 2023. But this is a former CFTC chair also outlining why he thinks XRP isn't a security. And then we also have just recently CFTC commissioner seeing Ripple court decision as a path to U.S. regulatory clarity. So the CFTC seems as though they are very bullish on Ripple and technically even XRP. But more recently, this is July 10th, we have from Subjective Views, new CFTC chair testifies on oversight of digital commodities, and this is upwards of 70 to 80% of the market are non-securities. This is a big deal.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned in your testimony that the single most important thing Congress must do amid the increasing popularity of crypto is to pass legislation that establishes federal oversight of non-security tokens. If Congress does not act to fill this regulatory gap, does any federal regulator have the authority to regulate the market for crypto assets like Bitcoin that are not securities?
Senator, thanks for the question. The short answer to the question is no. And I mean, this is really the reason we're here. And the problem is, and as you mentioned in your opening statement, if you measure the Bitcoin economy by market capitalization, upwards of 70 to 80% of the market are non-securities, which means there is no direct federal regulatory oversight. So despite what I think some may believe, this leaves this giant gap, this vacuum, and ultimately customers at risk for loss of money. And I think our enforcement record demonstrates that over the past better part of 10 years. And as you pointed out also in your statement, the problem with our enforcement authority, although powerful, it's reactive. We're never able to be on our front foot in this situation. We're always being responsive to tips, complaints from individuals who typically have been defrauded. Our typical regulatory framework involves registration and compliance with an existing set of rules, which gives the CFTC or any market authority the ability to look through a registered entity, whether it's a broker, an exchange, a custodian, or an individual participant. And those are the types of regulatory tools that enable us to really eliminate, if not reduce significantly, market fraud and manipulation. Anything else, which is the current state of play with crypto, again, is only reactive. So we have a very successful enforcement record and one that I'm very proud of, and this committee should be too, but ultimately, we're only coming in after the fact, which means money is typically lost, we're not able to get money back to customers, and we're really not having that same deterrent effect that we should have if we had a robust, comprehensive regulatory regime.
So not only does this, give guidance, but the urgency regarding, crypto regulatory frameworks, but it also shows that, this is a chair testifying on the oversight of digital commodities, mentioning the fact that upwards of 70 to 80% of this market is non-securities. This is counterproductive versus what the SEC believes, because we know that the SEC believes that basically this entire market is securities. So what's going on here and who will be in charge? Well, in my opinion, I do believe that the CFTC will make a big impact in this market. And I do believe that the SEC will be forced out. But what also is going on behind the scenes? Well, let's take a look at a few things happening. Well, number one, we just got a big update regarding Paxos, and we have Paxos prevails in SEC investigation of BUSD stablecoin. On Tuesday, we received a formal termination notice from the SEC stating that it will not recommend enforcement action against Paxos Trust Company in the investigation of Binance USD. So this is a big L in the SEC side of things, and we also have over here another sign of the pressure that Gary Gensler is feeling to curb regulation by enforcement. Let's go a step further and have a new SEC Gov chairman who follows the law. And I think everyone will agree to this, but we also know that this is most likely not going to happen. But beyond this, it's not all that green. Well, because of this, and we have from Katie Biber, why is anti-crypto SEC Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw poised for reconfirmation without even a peep from the Senate? For all the Dem talk about lawlessness these days following the Scottish decision on presidential immunity, it's perplexing they would confirm a commissioner who thumbed her nose at the DC Circuit and wrote a vehement dissent on the SEC's required spot Bitcoin ETF approval. In Grayscale Investments versus the SEC, a court of Republicans and Democrats appointed judges held 3-0 that the SEC failed to provide a coherent explanation for why it did not approve Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF app, acting arbitrarily and capriciously in violation of the APA. Even Gary Gensler bowed to the obviously correct conclusion by the DC Circuit, but not Caroline Crenshaw. In this dissent, she twisted herself into knots to justify disregarding the court's explicit command. What happened to respecting rule of law? When conservatives worry about unaccountable bureaucrats, this is exactly what they mean. Thankfully, Loberbright trimmed the sails of Chevron, but we still need public servants who do the right thing. This week, Crenshaw may be reconfirmed why. Folks need to be asking some hard questions. Does her allegiance to Shadow President Elizabeth Warren trump the rule of law? Does President Biden even know he nominated her again? Or is this part of a Gensler plan to ensure a Dem commission majority in 2025, forcing a newly elected President Trump to oust him? Such a commission balance would mean no regulatory rollbacks, no crypto pivot, even with a Republican-appointed chair. As a country, we should not be in the business of rewarding unaccountable bureaucrats who do not respect the will of the courts or the 1/5 of Americans who own crypto with 6 more years of job security. And I completely agree. Listen, there is some big problems happening here. And Brad Garlinghouse did respond to this. He said, I made this point emphatically at the crypto roundtable this morning. Let's hope that we see action and not just words. Guys, the roundtable he is talking about was this one. We have Scoop, participants' initial reaction, and this is who wrote Kana's crypto roundtable was that it was a productive step forward. I'm hearing POTUS senior advisor Anita Dunn was there for about an hour, list of attendees, and more details to come. Now, we did get a full list, and here we have the full list, and we could see that Brad Garlinghouse was here. We also had Stellar, Coinbase, BitGo, Paxos, Pantera. I mean, these are some very large names here. Even Uniswap was their circle, and so forth. But these were all the big players, and we were hoping that this was productive. There were some rumors that it wasn't very productive, and guess what we ended up getting? We got this. SAB 121 vote breakdown. Vote today on overturning POTUS's veto failed 228-184. 2/3 majority needed. And yes, this veto did fail. We have yes flip to no. These are the big players. Yes originally, but not voting today. And this is the breakdown. So we could see here that Republicans voted 207 yay. Democratic voted 183 nay. This is a very big problem. Guys, they are still flipping to the anti-crypto stance, regardless of these major discussions, these roundtable discussions, and even Brad Garlinghouse himself said, thank you to Rokana for being an exceptional leader and engaging with the crypto industry. This morning's crypto roundtable bringing together folks like, and he does mention all of them, etc., with the White House and key congressional leaders. and is hopefully the first step in moving from words to actual action. Unfortunately, the majority of Democrats continue to enable Gensler's unlawful war on crypto, sabotaging the ability for American innovation to thrive. It's no wonder the GOP has announced a pro-crypto stance. Gensler will go down as the Luddite of his time. Words are easy, action is hard, but necessary. Choose wisely. Voters are paying attention. And listen, the number one thing that I have been expressing on this channel ever since we got the big, meetings with Congress and Gary Gensler, and, they scolded Gary Gensler. They talked down on the SEC, said that they're failing miserably, that, we're falling behind, that there's so many issues. The number one thing that I have expressed is the fact that we're starting to see all this wordplay, but zero action. What is actually going on here? Are we going to see any action? And it seems as though we got the answer. With this SAB 121 vote, we got the answer, which is no, we're not going to see action. These meetings, these roundtable discussions, they are worthless. And Brad Garlinghouse was 100% right on the ball when he said that let's hope that we see action and not just words. And well, guess what? Over here, we see that even him say, he basically confirmed that Dems are continuing to enable Gensler's unlawful war on crypto, because this is the anti-crypto stance that we continue to see spotlighted even around, debanking crypto, going after some of these companies. I mean, just go look at Library. I mean, why did Library go bankrupt? Why did Library get targeted? I mean, it's ridiculous that we have these companies, even Ripple technically as well, getting targeted, even though they are pushing innovation forward. They're actually US-based companies trying to innovate, trying to do something, and we continue to see this anti-crypto narrative growing and growing. We would think that by this point, since crypto is becoming a big political weapon, essentially, that there would be some sort of flip, but there isn't. In fact, it's actually getting worse. I would argue that crypto right now, in the scope of the SEC and these regulators, I feel as though it's worse now than ever before. Maybe I'm, just exaggerating this a little bit, but in my opinion, I do believe that it's worse now than ever before. But one thing to focus on here, the number one thing to really kind of look at is, yes, the pressure, in my opinion, is getting to Gary Gensler. And it's not just my opinion. Crypto Law US is also saying it here, that it seems as though the SEC is feeling it, right? They are feeling the pressure. They're seeing, what's happening around the space. They understand that this is becoming a political weapon, essentially. And now we're starting to see some flips. The question here is, and I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, this is going to lead to Ripple getting the, green light in terms of a settlement. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I do think that the SEC is feeling the pressure that this space is putting on them. And I think that's only a matter of time until we possibly see, a much, more, in my opinion, efficient, but also, an agency that is willing to put in the time, willing to put in the effort, and also willing to work with this space. And that's the CFTC. This is an agency that, in my opinion, will essentially be the agency that brings about regulatory frameworks and even regulatory clarity for the space. And if it's not the CFTC, who else are we looking at? Congress? Congress is not going to do much. They haven't done anything so far. So I think that our only hope at this point is the CFTC. And we know how bullish that the CFTC has been on with Ripple and even XRP. And I'm very, very hopeful that they will finally get something going. But until then, it's all hopes and dreams. We have to wait and see what's going to happen next. But I can tell you right now, SAP 121 and crypto is essentially in this standoff. Until something actually happens, we're still in that standoff. And just like Brad Garlinghouse is saying over here, we're still in the middle of that war on crypto. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.